Okay, I'm 365 Days of Horsemanship, day 365. I, can't believe that it's done. I feel weird about the fact that tomorrow I am not gonna make a 365 Days of Horsemanship video, that I've finished this project. So I went back to look at the first two videos I ever made, which were actually in March of 2022. So we're in November now of 23. So it's taken me, I think, a year and 8 months to finish this project. But I had a month away with Elsa, and I also had 2 months away looking after my nan. So I think it's taken me about a year and a half to actually finish this project. And I am pretty proud of myself for that, to be honest. I think it's the first time I think I've ever given myself the time and the commitment and the self-care to myself to actually follow through on something in the long term that I wanted at a certain point in my life. And that is so powerful for me on like a personal mental level, that I've just managed to set myself a project, set myself a goal, and then achieve that goal is huge. So I'll start off by talking about today, because today is 365th day. And then I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things I think that I've learned from this project and where I think I am now versus where I was at the beginning. So today was quite a nice day, kind of full of stuff that needed to be done, really, for Mia. She's still being poulticed. There's still stuff coming out. So she's had another soak and another wet poultice today. I'm really hoping that tomorrow she'll be, there'll be a lot less in there and I can start dry poulticing for her. She's still being a real star. And I actually think she really enjoys the soaking. Today I didn't have as much time to soak her as I have the last few days. And she really didn't want to take her foot out the bucket. She was like, I like my foot in here. It's nice. The water's warm. I feel better when it's in here. And I found that quite funny and quite sweet. So tomorrow I'm going to really try to make sure that I make time for her to have a good chunk of time, like half an hour or more on the yard if she wants to. And she can just eat hay and have her foot in that bucket if that's what she wants to do. That's totally fine. So yeah, a bit of a spa day for her. So I did her poultice and I did really well actually with my walking practice. I spoke yesterday about how I was planning to, when I'm leading, practice my patience and practice allowing her to eat and then taking a few steps and then eating some more grass and taking a few steps and eating some more grass. Now, the benefits of this are twofold. Firstly, that she actually feels better if she's stopping and starting the eating because she's not getting as dissociated. If she's eating the whole time, then she's in a kind of state of freeze because her focus isn't changing. Whereas if I change her focus up to myself as the leader or to the environment or to whatever, and then she puts her head back down again and has that first bite of grass, it's the first bite of grass that's really enjoyable. So partially that's the first benefit that kind of allows it to work. And then the second benefit is that I'm not having to put a lot of pressure on her in order to give her another job to do that makes eating the grass the less comfortable option. Because in the past, I've used eating the grass as the cue to start thinking about sideways, which is obviously more difficult than walking in a straight line. And since she's had this poultice on, I think that's been the trigger for me to stop wanting to use the dominant pressure to have that conversation. It's a completely reasonable way to manage that conversation. It works. I find the same way that I personally find with a lot of dominant training, that it works as long as you maintain it. And then for me, as soon as I stop doing it, I find that those problems start to creep back up again because it's an extrinsic motivator that is causing her to stop wanting to eat the grass. It's not because she genuinely is happy not eating it. It's because the other options are more uncomfortable. And I'm sure there are dominant trainers out there who can have more lasting impacts with better feel and timing than I do, but dominant training is not where my enjoyment comes from with horses. So I think this has been a really good opportunity for me to commit to learning this next bit of patience. And it went really well today. It went really well today. I was able to take a few steps, have a few bites of grass, take a few steps, have a few bites of grass. And yeah, I found I wasn't really needing to pull on her. When I was starting to move away, she was moving away. And then it was just a case of making sure that I didn't try to take too many steps to where she was having to pull me back to the grass. Like, the key is to take if you think you can take 4 steps, take 3. And then you're the one who's saying, hey, look, shall we eat some more grass? And then Mia's like, oh my God, like, I feel great. Like, Lucy always knows where the good grass is. And she's like she's super committed to me getting all the best grass. What a great, enjoyable walk this is, where we're just finding lots of amazing grass, rather than it being like, oh, Lucy always pulls me away from the grass. I always have to pull her back. So that went really well. And then actually on the way back, I felt that I didn't really have time, because it was really dark by then, to play that whole game again on the way back. And actually I found I was able to use a very small amount of dominant pressure just to ask her literally forwards, from behind. I don't really like to pull on the halter. I think it makes them quite dull to the halter, which is not something that I really want. So I prefer to drive from the hind end if I want them to kind of move forward in a situation like that. So I was able to use quite a small amount of pressure actually to basically ask her to walk with me. And she was super happy to walk. She was like, yeah, okay, that's fine, no worries. I didn't really have to remind her too many times about the grass, and so that was really nice. So yes, that went well. I popped up to see Lawrence. We just had some nice, like, fun cuddles and games together. They were all sleeping. I kind of tried to, like, integrate myself a little bit with the herd. I said hey to everyone when they came over to me, and then set myself up in flow with Lawrence while he was just resting. Then he came over, wanted some rubs on his face, and then we had a little sort of snooze while we looked out across the environment. The sky was beautiful, 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 so clear, amazing stars. And so we were just enjoying kind of watching the stars and looking out across the valley and seeing all the lights of the roads and the cars. And yeah, at some point I crouched down and he got quite playful. We had a playful kind of 5 minutes or so. And when that kind of looked like it was finishing, that's when I kind of got up to go back home. So it was nice. And, I think the thing that I kind of brings me nicely onto, I think for me, probably the most powerful thing I've taken away from this project is a massive change in my mindset. Massive positive change in my mindset. Like, I think if I had had a session doing exactly the same things at the start of this project back in March 2022, I think I would have come back and done the vlog and said, oh, well, I mean, I did Mia's poultice and it was fine. And, had some trouble getting her foot out of the bucket, and I didn't really have any time to do any horsemanship, and it was it was dark and I was tired. And so I did, like 5 minutes with Lawrence, but it wasn't really very much, and like really negative, focusing on all the negative things. And I think now I'm just in such a place where I just feel so grateful. Like, I feel so connected. I feel grateful. I feel the horses that are in my life are there as something to bring joy. And those relationships bring joy. And being with Lawrence in that field, looking at the stars for, 10, 15 minutes, brought me so much joy. And just playing with him, having that open, fun, enjoyable, curious relationship moment, like, that is so powerful to me. And I think I've shed a lot of the, like, if I went back and I rewatched day 1, and I talk in day 1 about wanting to shake off some of the ideas about what a relationship should look like, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to behave, what we're supposed to aspire to, what our goals are supposed to be. And I think now at this point, I feel that I have been successful in shaking off some of those, how should I say, ideas, some of those expectations. And I think I've trained myself to enjoy my sessions so much more. And I'm so grateful for that, because that really for me was always the key thing I was looking for. And I think throughout my life with horses is really finding that joy that I know that I get from them, being able to replicate that, all the time, and having my horses be something that I do, sort of actively for joy on a day-to-day basis. And I definitely think that's something that I have now, and I'm so grateful for that. So I think the reason that I have been able to change my mindset in such a positive way is because it's given me an opportunity for self-reflection. I think this is something that everyone should do, and I really encourage anyone who's watching this, and the people who do watch my videos, I can't even explain to you like how honored I am that people actually watch these. Like, I went on my YouTube analytics yesterday just to have a look and see like if what the statistics are saying, and about half of my views are from people who are subscribers, like return viewers, and then half are from new people. And I just feel so honored and so delighted and so pleased that me rambling on about my personal psychological journey and mishaps and obstacles and struggles and successes in a kind of like very just, I can't remember the word, like there's a phrase specifically for this, like a very kind of like just literally saying it as I think it, basically just saying it as I think it. And I really appreciate that, and I'm so delighted that other people are finding this helpful. And I would just say, like, I would massively encourage anybody to try this, even if you just do it for a week or 2 weeks or 30 days or whatever you think you can do it for. Just challenge yourself every time you have a session with your horse to just sit down and take the time. Either I like to record myself because I prefer to talk than to write. I find that my thoughts come kind of quite quickly when I'm writing, and then I find it annoying that I can't get the writing like out fast enough. And then I also am a bit of a perfectionist, so then I'll like go over it and over it over and over again to get it right, and then it becomes like a whole process. So for me, I think it's easier for me just to do like this and just talk and just let the words come. But if you want to journal, if you want to, I don't know, just spend 10 minutes just in silent reflection and not talk and not write and not do any kind of like activity to record that, I really would encourage everybody to just take that time to actively self-reflect, because it's been so powerful for me, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to. It's something that is not going to go away for me. Like, having come out of this project now, I think I'm going to continue to self-reflect on here. I'm going to continue to talk about, my personal journey, and I think the kind of rider mindset and emotional resilience in horsemanship, and how to find the mindset that you need, and how to learn, and how to like look back on what's happened and say, I don't know what happened today. Like, this happened and this happened. It made me feel like this, and then this happened. And just having that opportunity is so powerful for your brain. So yeah, self-reflection has been huge. And I think I would say from this whole journey, from changing my mindset, and as a result of the self-reflection I've done, there are probably 3 key areas that have changed for me. I think the first one is when I rewatched the first videos, it really struck me that the sessions I was describing sounded very transactional. Like, it was about me doing something to the horses with the horses that I wanted to do, kind of regardless of how they felt about it. And then in return, they were paid with my time doing whatever they wanted to do. And so that was kind of, I think, my first interpretation of like fairness in a relationship, and wanting for the relationship to feel more balanced and to feel more even. And actually, I think over time, when I look at my sessions now, I think it's a much more fluid and present and evolving process where I turn up and I have some sort of broad ideas about what I want from the session. But instead of sort of chunking it into time where we do what I want to do and you dissociate from your feelings and obey your orders, and then time where we do what they want to do and I dissociate from my feelings and what I want to do, actually now it's much more of a process of compromise where I turn up and I say, hey, this is what I am, this is what I got, this is what I'd love to do. And how are you? And then, you know, give the opportunity then for my horses to say, hey, this is how I feel today. This is what I want to do. And I say, cool, let's just play around. I'll try some different stuff. You know, I'll try and do what you want to do for a little bit. When I feel that I need to fulfill my needs, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to, you know, try to, even like with Mia, when I'm working a lot more with dominant leadership in some of our sessions, there's just a lot more compromise in the moment. Like there's a lot more, I'm not chunking it into times where it's like for the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, you have no voice. And your payoff for that will be that I will come and have no voice with you and you can just tell me what to do. Like I don't work that way anymore. And I think it's so much healthier. I think it helps us stay connected. I think it's what has fostered the deep relationships that Mia and Lawrence and I have now. And I think, you know, part of that has been the second point that I think I've really changed, which kind of, I mean, they all tie in together really, but I think, you know, where I've been able to kind of, how I've been able to change those sessions from being more transactional to being more compromising is kind of in two ways. Firstly, being more feeling focused rather than task focused. So at the beginning of this project, I was very, like in the first week, I was walking the horses. I was walking both of them on sort of a hack, about a kind of 40-minute loop that we can do near to the Horsemanship Hub Centre, where you just kind of go up and around and back again. And my belief at the time was that I would be able to desensitize them into feeling better about doing the thing I wanted to do simply by doing it. So by doing the task will improve. And there are definitely schools of thought and training methods which can teach you how to do that successfully. For me, I've found that success has really come where I've stopped being task focused and I've focused on being about the feelings. So when I start something, it's not necessarily about finishing it. Obviously, there are some things like putting a poultice on where I do need to finish the task because it's something that's related to health. But if I'm having a horsemanship session, whether it's in freedom or whether it's in dominance, if I start a task or a pattern or I ask a question, I don't want to stop until it feels better. And if that means I have to come back down again, then I'll do that. And I lower the intensity. So, for example, if I am working with the touching distance with Lawrence and his stress is coming up and he's starting to walk more and he's starting to feel more dissociated and he's looking up less and he's getting into a bit of a freeze, then I stop touching him, but I keep walking in supportive leadership until he feels better. And it's that feeling piece that I think was really missing with my freedom-based training. And I think it's the feeling piece that has really accelerated Mia and I's progress with the dominant work. Because now, you know, I might practice a pattern with Mia. I might put her on a pattern. I might set some poles up. I might just go doing the same loop over and over again until it feels better. I'm not like, well, I need to do this figure of 8 pattern 10 times, and when we've done it 10 times, we can finish. Now I start it, and if it feels great, like the best it's ever felt after 1 repetition, that's great. I finish, I move on to something else. And so having that timing to be focusing on the feeling has really opened the door for a more compromising conversation, because I am paying attention to the way that the tasks are making the horses feel. And then in response to that, I'm able to tailor what's happening to facilitate them feeling better. And then that, if they feel better, they're going to feel more cooperative. And if they feel more cooperative, they're going to be able to accommodate my needs more. And so we're able to compromise. We're able to say, wow, didn't that feel so great? We have a positive association with doing the task that I wanted to do in the first place. When we come to do it again, we feel great about it, because last time we did it, when we finished, we felt great. So let's do it again. And it helps everybody. So task focused versus feeling focused is huge. I think that's probably something that I pinned down in my month with Elsa, where I really clarified doing that sort of in repetition, but it was something that's been growing really throughout the project. And then the final piece is thinking about problem solving versus being outcome focused. And this kind of really ties in with both of the other two. But I think when I talk about problem solving, I'm talking about recognizing moments of challenge, moments of difficulty, and becoming focused on the solution to that problem rather than what I might like the outcome to theoretically be. So for example, with Mia in this poultice is a good example, actually. If Mia doesn't want to lift her foot up for the poultice, the outcome that I want is that she picks her foot up. The problem is that she feels uncomfortable doing that. So focusing on helping her to feel more comfortable is in itself like the way to avoid becoming task focused, right? Because I start to think about like, okay, well, she's feeling uncomfortable. Can I help her feel better just about rocking the skin of her leg? And I can rock the skin of her leg until she thinks about something else. I repeat that a few times. Her leg starts to kind of relax, loosen up. That gives me time to think about what's actually causing this discomfort. Is she worried about pain? Is her other foot just tired? Does she just need a rest? Is she standing in an unbalanced position? Is there something else that needs to happen before I can expect this foot to be picked up? And it gives me time to just really reflect. It also helps me to be patient, and it also prevents me from becoming immediately frustrated. Because I think sometimes we can have expectations of our horses. Certainly I can have expectations of my horses where I'm just like, come on, can't you just like understand that you're safe and nothing's going to happen and just cooperate with me? Just like do the thing I want you to do because you're safe and it's fine. But actually by feeling frustrated, you know, they can't understand English, but they can feel your emotion. And so if my emotion is frustration and my emotion is anger, then all I'm doing is proving to them that engaging with me is making bad vibes, because I have these vibes that are like frustration based on the interaction that we're having, rather than actually engaging in the interaction and saying, okay, I'm asking a question and your answer is no. How can I make this question easier for you? How can I help you to feel more comfortable about the question being asked? How can I understand why this question is so hard for you? And actually by doing that, I end up kind of like coming around to getting the outcome anyway, because they feel better about it. But the journey is not about the outcome. The journey is about the problem and the solution to the problem. And I think these are things that have been taught to me a million times in a million ways. And these are things that a lot of different trainers from a lot of different philosophies and programs will talk about. And, you know, freedom-based training, dominant training, this kind of training, that kind of training, you know, all different kinds of natural horsemanship and traditional horsemanship and Western horsemanship and all kinds have benefits and have different ways of being useful in different situations in which they're useful. My preference is always to have the least pressure possible, and I feel really proud of myself of how far I've come, and how strong those principles have remained. And I think that the reason I've been able to really take the massive like storage of information that I had in my head before this project and actually apply it and do the practice and make the changes is due to having done this project and due to regularly self-reflecting and regularly giving myself the opportunity to be like, well, you know, I think this happened. I think maybe I felt like this. Maybe that doesn't align with the principles of actually what I've been taught before. Maybe if I did this differently, I would have this outcome. And I think that's just the most powerful thing in the world. So I am seeing that I'm on 25 minutes now. So I'm going to wrap this up, which is actually kind of an emotional moment for me. I really genuinely can't believe that I'm not going to make this video again tomorrow. There are going to be other videos, definitely, for sure. I am really excited for that. I'm excited for the freedom to kind of have some time for some new projects now. And yeah, thank you so much. So much to everybody who has joined me on this journey so far, everyone who's watched my videos, everyone who has talked about them, people who have like come to me and said that they've watched my videos. Like, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm just super excited to see where the next 365 days takes us.